Welcome to Greenhouse Grower to Grower, the podcast where we talk to growers from across the greenhouse industry about market trends, innovation, their biggest challenges and opportunities, and more. I'm Brian Sparks, editor of Greenhouse Grower. Jan Gulley is one of the owners of Gulley Greenhouse in Fort Collins, Colorado. Gulley Greenhouse is an innovative operation that pays close attention to consumer needs as well as trends and new varieties. I recently talked to Jan about her love of plants, why continuing education is so important, and what's next at Gulley Greenhouse. Here's our conversation. It's good to be able to talk to you today, Jan. Let's talk first about this past year and how things went for the Gulley Greenhouse team this year. Was it a strong year for you guys?
Oh, sure, Brian. I think it was definitely the year before was a lesson to be had by everyone. Everybody was still on the COVID inventory sales road, and I think we all learned that things are back to 2018-19 levels a little bit. And so we did moderate a little bit, especially in our garden center, our inventory, and I think it worked out very well for us. As far as the rest of our inventory goes, I think some of the fall finished was slow sales. We felt a dip, but it was hot here, and just not sure people were excited about planting. But as far as the spring and our liners go, everything seems very steady, and sales are good.
So I know that you guys as a company have always had a close connection to the consumer. Have you seen instances of how today's consumer has evolved from just even the past couple of years, maybe just prior to COVID?
What do you mean, like their tastes or what they select?
I guess it would be their taste, their buying habits, things that they might be looking at differently than they did in the past.
Oh, sure. On the garden center side in the spring, I think a lot less people were buying vegetables. I think they found it was hard to grow and they'd rather travel. So definitely slowed down there. As far as houseplants and things, I think the smaller sizes, people are really looking for smaller pot sizes. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially apartments and condos, they want plants, but they don't want one plant to take up too much room.
Okay.
So perennial sales were steady. I think in our area, building has slowed down a little bit, so trees and shrubs were a little bit slower too.
Okay.
But annuals seemed to just perk right along, and didn't see much difference there.
Okay. I'd like to make sure that our listeners get a chance to learn more about you in particular. So can you maybe talk about your own background, what brought you into the world of horticulture and how that's led to what your role is today at the greenhouse?
Well, it's kind of a hit and miss thing. I was getting my degree in just botany, biological sciences, and I met my husband, who wasn't a husband at that time, and his dad grew carnations in Denver. Okay. And I just got enthralled with that scenario and just growing things. So I changed my major to horticulture, and so that's how that went. Then we built a small greenhouse in town, and we're doing field-grown perennials, which everybody knows is just backbreaking. We finally bought some other property and started official greenhouses. And so that was about 1980, I'm going to say. And so we're still in our original area. And Jim doesn't really like growing plants, my husband, so he's a great builder. So it seems like a perfect combination for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then Ball Seed was so kind. They said, Jan, we need little plants. Knowing us, we just said, okay, what do you need? So that's how the liner business started. Okay. Way back in the day, growing liners for Ball Seed. And so that's how we got started in all the perennial liners.
Okay. I know that varieties have been, one of the big areas of focus, as in most greenhouses, obviously, but, in particular at Gulley Greenhouse. I know that, you have a connection to the Think Plants Network, and then some things with All America Selections as well. Can you kind of talk about how you develop some of those partnerships and how that dictates what you as a company decide what to grow and then sell to your end consumer then?
Sure. As far as Think Plants, we're a member of it, and we do trials for them. Um, the All American Selection, we are growing their trial plants this year. And again, my daughter, Beth Gulley, has been a tremendous asset just building those relationships.
Mm.
We're very grateful to her for that. Also, like Express Seed is the only company in Think Plants. And so a lot of the plants that they want to try, they come to us first since we are a member.
Okay.
And we're doing a lot of trialing for companies and then shipping those trials out.
Okay.
So I think like some of the ones we're doing are the coloritas, the erysimums and the saxifragas, things like that, that have become quite popular. And so it's really exciting to see what's coming new down the tube.
Yeah. So I know you have a proximity to Colorado State University and they've got their own trial system. Do you work with them on those trials or really in other areas for that matter?
We will support them any way we can. It's a tremendous department. They have a new head now who is just so exciting.
Mm.
And we will give them plants. We also, Beth is part of the perennial trial garden selection.
Okay.
So she is judging some of the annuals and perennials
Nice.
that go in there. And like I said, anytime they need anything, or we give student tours to, and have hired some of their graduates also.
Mm-hmm. You know, I know you and I, when we've talked in the past, you know, the topic of education has come up a lot and the importance of keeping, you know, your own education ongoing, but then also making sure that your entire team there stays up to date on new trends in varieties and plant production. I wonder if you can maybe talk about that importance of education, both for yourself and for your team.
Sure. I mean, as much as we can, or as much as time allows, I try and get our growers out to seminars, meetings, or we'll do video training that way.
Okay.
There's so much happening, so much is changing. It's really important to stay on top of it. And new varieties, new chemicals, new biologicals. I try and get some of the salesmen too, especially for biologicals, up here to help our team on how to use those and quantities, what to watch out for, things like that. So that's been a lot of my focus lately, has been the biologicals and how they can fit into our business.
Okay.
So
do you see the ways that you get that information changing between now and how you may have gone down that road?
Well, I think, video conferences or webinars are a lot easier to attend than sending 6 people to the East Coast. So I think those are very valuable, and we do learn a lot from those. We will send people to conferences also, though, if it seems to pertain to their job. And it's just good for people to get out and see other people and network.
Yeah. So you mentioned, a few minutes ago, Jim being a builder. And so as you mentioned that, I started to think about, a lot of growers have told us that going into this coming year, you had the very strong years of an industry in 2020 and 21, a little bit of a tougher situation in 2022, and then for the most part on the rebound again in 2023. As you look ahead, do you see any major changes taking place at Gulley Greenhouse in terms of production expansion or anything else new that you guys are looking at as a company?
Sure. First of all, we're trying to really increase our efficiency. And try and reduce labor costs as much as possible, train people in different areas so they can hop in, hop out wherever help is needed. I think that's very important. We're also looking to expand. We did a tissue culture chamber prototype that's working very well for us. And so we would like to expand that. I feel that going vertical rather than horizontal is really a lot more efficient, especially in Colorado with the heat costs.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So we do a lot of TC here. I think we do about 2.5 million plus.
Okay.
And so they really need a special spot to really succeed.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of exciting things happening. That's great.
It is. It's exciting.
Well, and kind of along those lines, as you look into 24, I'd like to know really what excites you the most about the future of not just Gulley Greenhouses, but for the industry as a whole.
Well, I think there's a lot going on with lighting. I think there's a lot going on with biologicals and how to integrate them into our systems. I think that, I don't know, that's pretty much where we're headed
Mhm.
in that area, in those areas. So it seems that TC is one of our spots that we seem to do well with. And being kind of central location, it's easier for us to ship to than some places.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of these perennials that are just amazing are from TC. So I think that's kind of where we're really excited to see the progress.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned some of those new plants. So I kind of like to end some of these conversations with this question. What's your favorite plant right now? Is there something that you guys are growing as a company that you also know, okay, I've got to take this home and have it at our own home?
That's a bad question, Brian. I was asking my daughter the same question as you posted, and we both looked at each other and said, we like them all. One thing I am really excited about is we put Dictymus albus into tissue culture because it's so hard to propagate.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you're aware of that. It's a very hardy perennial that is just lovely. But I've tried it from seed. You can't hardly do cuttings. And so we're getting our first TC next week from the lab to try and grow that. So we're
Nice.
pretty excited about that.
Nice.
I think lupin, the new TC lupin, and the delphinium, some of the new delphinium they're amazing. Beautiful colors, double flowers. And I think for the homeowner, the consumer, they're just really great selections.
Nice.
So we love them all, Brian.
Awesome. And I do have one more question for you that I was thinking about. So, these past few years, there's been a lot of fluctuation and things seem to be always be moving quicker than ever. What do you think are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned about how to handle, the day-to-day and then the long-term future of Gulley Greenhouse, given some of these constantly changing market dynamics?
Well, a lot of it, we like to have all our stuff pre-sold. And so even on our finish lines, our customers know that they need to place orders and we have deadlines. We want to make sure we keep it real tight inventory. That way we don't have a lot of debt.
Okay.
Because I think everybody's still on the windowsill if a recession is going to happen or not. But it's looking better all the time. But that, and I think just helping the consumer with how to garden easily and not to be scared of it. We have a lot more millennials that are gardening now, but they want information. They want to succeed. They don't have a lot of time if they don't succeed. And so I think on the consumer side, that's very important too. We try and keep our debt very low, and especially with the interest rates these days. And like I said, and offer our employees too good benefits so that they will stay here, hopefully, and not go to other places like Amazon.
Thanks for joining us. You can learn more at greenhousegrower.com. Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen.